it working?
Hello.
It is working, right? There we go. It is so good to see you all. Thank you all for coming to our Aspiring Leaders Retreat. This is such an exciting time for Lauren and myself. And in case you couldn't tell, I'm the one who's been sending you all the emails. I'm Dr. Deb, and this has been a year in the making. While you were not probably even thinking about leadership development, Lauren and I and a committee of campus-wide people from the Career Management Office, from the School of Business, from athletics, from institutional effectiveness, from all over campus, we're meeting to try to develop this leadership development program. And so we are absolutely thrilled that you are here as the inaugural class of the Aspiring Leaders program. So thank you for being willing to participate in the program. We really believe that it's going to be very beneficial to you to participate in the program, and we're going to lay out tonight kind of what you can expect throughout the year. But before we do that, we have important people for you to hear from. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce Darielle, who would, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I just overlooked Lauren, who's worked alongside me all year long. So first, an important person, I'm going to introduce Lauren Glazer, who is a graduate assistant in our department who has worked very closely with our leadership program. Lauren?
Okay, hello. Hi, I'm Lauren, just like Dr. Deb said, and I'm a graduate student in the Higher Ed Student Affairs program at USC in Columbia. My graduate assistantship, however, is here at USC Upstate, working mostly with leadership programs, and I also help with Spartan Pantry, and I'm a peer leader for U101. Some of my students are here, so hey. Part of this program is that each of you is matched up with an upperclassman mentor. Hopefully you've already heard from your mentor, but you will also have time to speak with them tomorrow. These mentors were handpicked based on their academic success and involvement on campus. They will also be helping us out with some important jobs throughout the retreat. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Darielle, who will be welcoming Dr. Harris. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Chancellor Bennie Harris is a native of Rosedale, Mississippi. Dr. Harris earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial Engineering from Mississippi State University, a Master of Business Administration from Washington State University, and a PhD in Educational Leadership from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Chancellor Harris served as Senior Vice President for Institutional Advancement at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia, a position he held since 2014. Chancellor Harris is committed to leading an exceptional regional public institution that is well-respected and diverse. We are lucky to have Dr. Harris's support and knowledge here at USC Upstate. It is my honor to present to you Chancellor Harris.
Thank you very much. I had to ask Darielle her name again to make sure I pronounced it right. I'm going to take my mask off since I'm standing at least a few feet away from you. And I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for being here at USC Upstate and for choosing to participate in this Aspire program. I think it's an exceptional program. Leadership development is something that I am very, very committed to and something that I love so much as it relates to leadership, engagement, and that growth. I think I saw some of you guys at a Southport Summit. Was that Southport Summit?
Yes, sir.
You at? Okay, great. It's good seeing you again to participate, because this is what it's all about. How do we continue to make these connections? Because these connections bring us together as a community and help us to be successful. Involvement, engagement, all those things that help us to continue to persist and to feel connected at the university and to develop friends. It's this place where you're going to really develop some lifelong relationships and friendships. And not just that, it's about the skills that you're going to develop as a leader just by being involved. My experience in college was extremely phenomenal in helping to shape my identity, shape who I am, and all of those types of things. I definitely have some prepared comments, but if I don't get to them, I think it's going to be extremely relevant and talking about it. So I may share some of my comments and then talk about it within the context of my story to help you see the possibilities that are there for you. I started out as an engineer. I actually majored in engineering. I graduated in engineering at Mississippi State University. And why I want to share that is because my passion really was in leadership development. My passion really was about connecting people and empowering communities and empowering people. And engineering starts feeling very, very constricted from allowing me to do that, right? And so I co-opted a year with a company called TRW, Vehicle Safety System Division. We made seat belts and airbags for General Motors and Ford corporate companies. My job as an engineer and developing that assembly line was to develop a line to bring those things in, to set the time and motion standards up, to work with our electrical and mechanical engineers on developing machines that can help to work with the assembly, the die cuts, all these type of things. So they gave us real responsibilities. At the same time, I was involved in student government. I was a senator. I was the president of the Black Student Council at Mississippi State University. I was the president of the National Society of Black Engineers, the National Society, the Institute of Industrial Engineers. I was involved in a number of different organizations, a peer counselor, a tutor on campus, got into a fraternity. All of those things kept me connected. I found myself working with our dean of students all the time because I became a student advocate. And so you got in trouble, you had me as a student advocate to advocate for you against our dean of students, or within that context, because we couldn't bring anybody into that particular conversation, but you could bring a student to sit with you and to be advocate. And I would do some of those types of advocacy things. I participated in the Silent March on Washington, a march that took place many, many years ago, led by A. Philip Randolph. And the NAACP hosted that again in Washington, D.C. when I was in college. There were things that my experience in leadership and student leadership started to shape my strengths, started to shape my identity, started to help me to create what my passions are and how I want to change the world and how I want to fit in the world. So I came to Mississippi State planning to be an engineer, but I left Mississippi State being an advocate for people and helping to empower people to achieve their greatest potential. So when it came to me graduating, I graduated from Mississippi State. I went to Dr. Ernestine Madison. She was the Assistant Vice President for Multicultural Student Services, and I had worked out of her office, and I said, I really don't want to work in engineering. I want to go back to school, get a master's degree. I want to teach. And she said, I tell you what, I will give you a graduate assistantship. And so she worked with Student Affairs to create this graduate assistantship for me. And I was going to be working in students in Student Affairs and supporting students in that particular category. Because what happened while I was in college, I found my voice. I found my passion, my vocation in college, engaged in student leadership. That could be, I could have been just as passionate in engineering if that's what my giftedness was. My giftedness turned out to work in these types of areas. And so some of my peers in engineering would say, you know, Bennie, you need to go and sit down somewhere. You always don't know how you think you're gonna make good grades. I made good grades in the engineering, but I was passionate about advocating for justice and those things that were right. And at Mississippi State at the time, there were a lot of issues that we had to negotiate as students of color. And I found myself in that space of negotiating for those types of justice issues and equity issues for students, and I loved it. I really loved it. I was passionate about it. And that is how I got on this career path in higher education, because through that process, Dr. Madison got a job at Washington State University as the vice president for human relations and resources. She brought me along, asked me if I wanted to work. I came in and grew into a role as the director of the Center for Human Rights, doing things that were important and that I was passionate about. And I had to figure out how that passion aligned with my giftedness. And so I'll give you a real brief example. I was offered a job as an engineer coming out of Mississippi State University. At the time, it was paying $54,000. That's a lot of money in 1990. $54,000, right? That's a lot of money today, right? Most of my peers graduating engineering were graduating and making 54, 64, that range of money. I decided to take a job as an EEO coordinator at Washington State University. Ultimately, after I didn't complete my degree in Mississippi State, I ended up completing my master's degree there. Ended up completing a master's degree at Washington State University. I decided to take a job making $24,000 because I followed my passion. And when you let your passion lead, a lot of us take careers or take jobs to follow money. When you let your passion lead, then I believe the money comes because you're really good at what you do. So peers of mine who graduated in engineering and continued on in engineering, if they didn't get into management of some other areas, their salaries were going to flatten out somewhere around $90, $100 and some $1,000 at some point. When you choose your passion, there's no limit to how much money you can make if that becomes something that you want to do, because you find yourself, you don't mind staying up all night to do it. You don't mind having conversation about to do it. At the Rotary, they brought a woman named Carrie. She does these biscuits and all this kind of stuff. I think it's her name, Carrie. These homemade biscuits. And her mother made some of the very best biscuits. And she was a stay-at-home mom, but she was passionate about cooking and helping her mother out. And now she's running a multi-million-dollar corporation around her passion. So at USC Upstate, you have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of yourselves and your families, but also in the lives of the community around you. And when you get passionate about that, you're going to find yourself doing some phenomenal things. Even your education became a pathway for me achieving those things that are important to me. And I knew I had to get my college degree. I knew that. So regardless of what I got involved in or how I followed those types of passionate activities, I had to make sure that I got my college degree. And I got my college degree, and then I continued on, and I continued in education because that's where I saw that I can affirm my passion. As I began to articulate what that actually means and looked like, okay, how do I put what's important to me in words? I was able to do this probably about 5 years ago in working with an executive coach to put the things that I enjoy in words so I can have a signpost to say who I am. My mission and my purpose is to inspire and develop young people to change the world. That is my purpose. If I do work that does not connect to inspiring and helping to develop you to change the world, it is not meaningful for me. So when I was able to put to pen all the things that I kept attaching to myself, even as a young student, even in high school, when I look back at my high school career and I was a student council president and I was the DECA Society president and I was doing all those things, it was all about inspiring and developing young people, even myself, to change the world, to make a difference. And so as I grew in my career, I was able to more succinctly define that. So even when I competed for this job, I knew that I wanted to make that impact in higher education. So when I sat with the interview committee, and I start off my interview with both the public forum and the interview committee with that quote, that my purpose and my mission is to inspire and develop young people to change the world. That is what it is. And I'm so clear about that. And when I look back over history and look back over leadership, and I look at people like Martin Luther King and Fannie Lou Hamer and all of these folks, that's exactly what they were doing. If you think about who made the difference in the civil rights movement or any movement during that time, it was whom? Young people. Young people stood up boldly to change society. To change society. They were the one in Birmingham that got holes and those type of things and the dog song. It was the young students who left classroom and came down to participate in the march because they wanted to change the world. When you look at Black Lives Matter, who are the people that stood out front and started having every major corporation emphasize diversity and inclusion, equity and inclusion? It was as a result of the efforts of young people to say this is not acceptable and we want to change it. And what I believe is that a better world, a better society, a better university lies right in your hands. And I want to be a part of inspiring you to do that. I want to be a part of you saying that we want to change the immigration laws, and we're going to do it. That we want to change how people talk to each other from different culture and different races and different ethnicities and different religion. I want to be a part of that, and I want to help you to do that. I want you to say, we want to create technology that makes everything accessible to people who cannot hear or who can't see. And I want to be a part of helping you to design that technology that'll change the world. Okay? That is what you have the power to do. And in college right now, you have that particular power and you have that bandwidth where the world looks to you and give you a lot of latitude and leverage to do it, to make mistakes, to have a bad semester and get it back together. Okay? If I have a bad semester here at USC Upstate, what's going to happen to me? Everybody fire me, right? But you can have a bad semester, and we're going to rally around you to help you to get it back together. This is the time where you're going to have more opportunities to figure it out than any other time in your life. Okay? So I tell folks all the time, I tell young people in college all the time, give me 4 years where you will work very hard. And I guarantee you, you can enjoy the next 20 years advancing your career. If you play these 4 years, I guarantee you're going to spend the next 20 years trying to play catch up. Just give me 4 years of working very hard to develop and to build who you are, to build your career and your academics. I guarantee you that the next 20 years will be phenomenal, you building on that from a career perspective. But trust me, if you throw away or flounder these next 4 years, you're going to find yourself working very hard to catch up on what you did not gain during these 4 years. That's the reality. I see it every day. I work with young people every day who spend time. They may have dropped out, and what you find, they get a job somewhere to try to make ends meet, and then they decide they want to go back to college. Now they're 28 years old or 29. Now they have to go to college and work a job and maybe start having kids. So now they got a lot of things to balance, and it gets harder and harder and harder before they realize they're 34 years old. They're 35 years old. They're 36 years old and still trying to play catch up and say, you know what? I need to get a master's degree now so that I can be more competitive. But they have all this responsibility now, and they're trying to build from a different vantage point. It's become hard. It becomes hard. But if you allow yourself that foundation, and leadership development and engagement helps you to succeed. It helps you to stay connected. So when I look over my career, look over my journey, being involved, being engaged in leadership, being engaged in student organization are critical to helping me to stay focused, to create that level of accountability. Even the students who were saying, Bennie, you're doing too much in leadership, you need to focus on this class. They were creating that accountability for me. Okay? I was able to find my passion. I didn't know how to articulate it when I was in college, but I knew it was about working with people, helping them to participate in their greatest self. This is the time. Even if you want to wear hairstyles, which I encourage you to do so, if you want to wear dreads and twists and whatever else you want to put a little dye on the top of it, do it, because once it's gone, you can't get it back, right? So I really wish I had taken more risk with my hair when I was going through college, but I was a little too conservative growing up. But the point being, on a serious note, this is the time where you grow and you figure out yourself. You figure out who you are. It was Thomas Paine who made the statement, one of our founding fathers, who said, "These are the times that try men's soul." I believe strongly in collaborative nature of leadership because we are in difficult times. And we are dependent on you to help us to negotiate and navigate these times. This country is experiencing some very, very difficult times. This globe is experiencing some very difficult times. You have the opportunity to make a difference, to make it a better world. Whether it's global warming, whether it's looking across the globe at hunger and protecting our water, ensuring that we have a place that my kids and your kids can live one day, whether it's talking about building relationships in community. There are a lot of fear, okay? The more women in the workplace, men start saying, you're taking our jobs. The more people of color in the workplace, whites start saying, you're taking our jobs. And then they start fighting at each other. And then we have instability all over the country. But you can provide the leadership that give a common presence and a community to why we can do this together and why we're all in this together. If we're going to be one America, if we're going to save this country and this globe, then we're going to have to do it together. We're going to have to do it together. So I'm going to stop and allow time for a few questions. I don't think I talked about anything that's on my script. So don't tell Jessica that, because she's going to be like, I spent all that time helping you out. Anyway, but I just felt it was compelled to really talk to you about, there are many first-year students here, and this is the journey that you're going to be on. And I want every last, and I'm saying this almost at every meeting, I'm trying to remind you at every meeting of students, I want to give every last one of you your diploma, your certificate. I want to hand it personally to you as you cross the stage. I want to do that. I want to make that commitment to you. If you're stressed out and you need a timeout, do not do it alone. Allow one of us to help you out, to help you too. If you need to take a time out to put it together, if you need counseling, if you need support, we're here to do that for you. Okay? If you find yourself needing another $1,500 before you drop out of school, let us put forth some effort to try to figure out if we can help you out so you can stay in school and continue to matriculate. I know that COVID-19 is a very difficult time for us, and it's creating all type of stressors, all the time. So you don't have to be so strong that you ignore the realities of those stressors. Mental health is so critically important. My wife and I have buried over 14 people now who are very close to us, either a family member, who have been either affected by COVID-19 or affected by the loneliness of isolation, or have had a young death. And all of that stuff you carry inside of you, you keep going on with life, being a chancellor, taking care of people, taking care of your family, taking care of your 3 kids, and never stop to really think about, am I taking care of my mental health? Because loss, there's real grief there, okay? And while you may not pause to grieve, it is still there. I'm sharing that to be as transparent as I can, to say you have things in your life that may be heavy that you feel you don't have time to deal with. We have people here that can help you to deal with it. Because that's part of being healthy and taking care of yourself and being successful here at USCFC. It does not have to become a trauma for you. Do not allow it to be. Allow yourself to be vulnerable to one of us or to a close friend or somebody to say, I need someone to talk through this with, okay? Being very personal with you because I care about you. And that's going to be key to your success as well, okay? Questions? Questions? Chase, you don't have one this time?
Not today.
Not yet. Other questions, other thoughts? Any reaction to it? Any reaction? Okay, y'all all good? You good? Okay.
We'll invite you back after a couple of sessions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all very much. I'm proud of you. Looking forward to being able to spend some time with you in the future. Thank you again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. That was very appropriate for kind of our kickoff for leadership development. We really appreciate him taking time out of his schedule. I don't think any of us can really imagine how busy a chancellor's schedule is. And for him to take the time to come and meet with us is a really great honor for us. So thank you again, Dr. Harris. Okay, so we have a lot we're going to do tonight, but one of the things we want to do is have you get to know each other a little bit, okay? We're hoping that we're going to do this in a variety of different settings, some today, some tomorrow. I think you know that we're going to be doing some team building exercises tomorrow outside in the grass, and it appears that the weather is going to be absolutely wonderful. So it'll be great for us to be out there kind of getting to know each other better and learning about leadership skills and leadership traits and so forth. So let me go ahead and introduce Lauren again, who is going to get us started on a get to know each other exercise.
So, I don't know if I said it earlier, I'm kind of the mentor coordinator for this program. So, and I mentioned that some of the mentors were going to be helping out with a lot of the activities and things that we're doing today and tomorrow. So, I'm going to introduce Caroline and Condasia, two of your mentors, who are going to help lead an introduction activity for y'all. So let's get that started. How about y'all come up here? And so basically, you're going to get in pairs, maybe at your table. If we have to rearrange them with you, that's no problem. And they're going to explain the assignment, the activity.
Hi, you guys. I'm Condasia. So basically, you're going to pair up with your partner, and each of you are going to tell your partner 3 facts about yourself. And we're going to give you a few minutes, so we're going to say, like, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Did y'all hear anything I said? Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Okay, so each of you are going to tell 3 facts about yourself to each other. And you have to listen to what your partner is saying, because after the time is up, you are going to introduce your partner to the whole room. Does that make sense? And so if Caroline is my partner, I'm going to tell her, I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I am a nursing major, and my favorite color is pink. And so she has to remember that. And then she's going to tell me 3 facts about herself, and then I have to remember that. And then Caroline is going to introduce me and be like,
Wait, this is
Condasia.
her favorite color is pink. She's a nursing major and she's from Greenville, South Carolina.
So, does that make sense? All right. So we're gonna have to probably split y'all up a little bit to make this make sense. So if there's 2 people at your table, you're good to go. If not, we will rearrange you. Okay. So one of y'all from this table, from this table,
This is gonna be interesting.
so how about